I love it.
I
Hold
was
on.
saying,
Hold on. I want to make sure that yes, we are. It's all good. Yay! Hi, beautiful.
Hello,
So
beautiful
you
lady.
are where are you, by the way?
I'm in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say,
like,
my favorite sentence, which corner of the universe are you lighting up tonight?
yes, you do. You say that a lot to
I
me.
say that. Which corner of the
You
universe
do.
are you lighting up tonight?
Yeah, I sometimes forget where I am. I wake up in
No,
so many
honey,
different countries.
and the reason why I want to start with that is because um, you have an extraordinary life, Dawn,
Thank
and
you.
so more than anyone that I can remember asking, which corner of the universe are you lighting up today? You have been around the world and you're sailing. I mean, when I tell people you're sailing, it's like they go, so she's on a cruise ship. I'm like, nah, no, she's not on a cruise ship.
Do not swear at me by asking me if I'm on a cruise ship.
She's like not on a cruise ship. She is tying
I'm a
knots
proper
and
sailor.
sailing and sheet up, sheet down, sheet to the wind, all that stuff. She's starboard,
Yeah.
nothing else. This is people go, what? I say, yeah, she
Yeah.
is a sailor woman,
Yeah.
a great, amazing soul sailing woman. And so that's the first thing I start with. And then I tell them all the amazing accolades that you have and that you um, pour out people's stories into books and you make the world see them in all their glory and all their amazingness, that you support underprivileged communities and people that I just like, you know what, there's like so many accolades, and I don't even want to talk about the accolades because people are going to get to know you and they're going to get to meet
Mhm.
you. I want to talk a little bit about the splendor of serendipity that has just happened, and the way you and I met, and how fortunate and glorious and wondrous it is, because I think that these moments are being dropped into our hearts and into our lives, and they make our hearts palpitate as I'm sitting here, by the way, in a hotel room that I didn't know I was going to be in, but here I am, and trying to make the best of the background. Like I was telling you earlier, you make the best of everything and everywhere where you are. You make the
Oh,
best of
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you make the best of the information, of the innovation, of the inspiration, which is basically my newsletter, is information, innovation, inspiration. And the reason why this is so important right now is because you and I we're mentors, and the way we met is because we're mentors and we're authors. And then there was something that was just so delicious about the conversation of authenticity and honesty and transparency, and being being a stand for women all over the world in their own greatness, which is what you do. You get to be with people as they sail through their lives and their stories, and you're not even close to menopause, like I call it. and
Oh,
and
I don't know. There have been some, and this is the thing, because I've been in the tropics for so long. I'm like, am I really hot because this is a menopause thing, or am I just really hot because it's really hot? And then it'll be I remember sitting on the rooftop, overlooking the Caribbean, when I was in, where was I? I was in Colombia. And I'm just dripping, and I'm like, it's not even hot. Yeah,
drenched.
it was like those Amazon rivers that you talk about in your
Yeah,
chapters. I'm like, oh my God. And which, by the way, the Amazon River is pretty special.
yeah, it is pretty special.
Pretty special.
That's why I say, when I had my personal summers, I would call it, I have Amazon rivers running down my body. And if you guys don't
They're
like,
big rivers.
yeah, and I'm standing on a stage and I'm delivering a keynote, and those rivers are
Mm.
running because they won't ask anybody for permission. So,
But we shouldn't, as women, we should not be asking anyone for permission.
but you know what? Our society has created it the way it has, and we are all responsible, including you and I. And we are now
Absolutely.
doing something about it. So
Mhm.
I would love for you to talk about this book. First of all, thank you so much for including me in bringing my little tiny piece of the puzzle to this story and to the
Do you know,
conversation.
can I just interrupt you there? And well, I'm going to anyway. I know it's the, you know, one, you're an absolute goddess and you look amazing for someone who's just done as much traveling as you've done today and the hotel
Oh,
fiasco.
that was just a nightmare, but that's
And
okay. We're over it.
and you're always showering everybody else with greatness and love and acknowledgement. And you, my darling, you called me out the other day in one of the most powerful, most beautiful ways. And I was, you know, I do all of this stuff for lots of other people, and sometimes I forget about myself, and you remind me of my greatness. And you are such an incredible woman, and I love the deliciousness that we have in our friendship. And I feel so humbled and just so incredibly grateful to have you in my life.
Thank you,
I
sweetheart.
just love you so much.
I love you too. And that's why I was saying I'm so grateful that you invited me to participate in this.
You kind of didn't really have a choice in a way, I suppose, because I was like, I want Liana, and then I journaled, and then I asked the universe to deliver it and move everything out of our way so that you would be in the book.
Thank you, honey. I mean, you were instrumental. I mean, I couldn't have done this without you because there was so much going on. So your support in writing it and fixing it and rewriting.
That was in Panama.
Putting things together in it, and you did that for all of us. You didn't just do that for me. You did that for everyone. You did your editing crown and your producer crown and your production crown and your I'm going to get this done thing crown, and you had all of these. And
I'm having a meltdown crown.
Yeah, and I'm traveling around the world crown. So you had all these multiple hats that I don't call them hats anymore, multiple crowns that you were changing.
Yeah.
And the truth is that it's coming out on May 11th. The book is coming out on May 11th. And those of you who are watching this and listening, my team is going to put the link and all the information down here on the bottom for those of you who have questions while we're in this conversation. So there are so many loopholes in the world of living when it comes to women, and I call it, in my chapter, I'm calling it the bookends, which are going through puberty and then menopause, the bookends of our lives, and then all the stuff that happens in between. No one really talks about puberty, especially not to girls.
You're not allowed to talk about that. You're not even allowed to mention it.
What's happening with this body and all the floating hormones, and not floating, explosions of hormones, and then menopause at the other end of it. And for those of us who are a little over 50 or 40 or 30, now at almost 63, I'm looking at my life going, this is like a whole new life that's starting. So being invited to this chapter, honey, was a really is a very special invitation. And it's just the beginning of a really big conversation that all of us who are in this book, thanks to you, we get to go take the show on the road. And so I'd love for you to just share a little bit of what this is and how it came to be, and all of that. I think people are more interested in hearing you than they're interested in hearing me. So go.
Okay. Well, it kind of, I mean, when does it start? When does it end? And did it ever start, or has always been there? And I remember sailing when I was crossing the Atlantic. I was, lying there on the sloop deck as I do, and just wondering about my body. And I had just been contemplating something that a friend of mine had said about how she was jealous of the fact that I was now in my early 40s, my children are in their mid to late teens, and how I'm getting off to do this thing around the world. And she wished she'd have had kids earlier like me, because right now she's dealing with breastfeeding, nappy changing, toddlers, sleepless nights, menopause, and it all came together all at once. And
Wow.
I had my first child when I was 25 because I was like, well, I want 2 boys and I want them 4 years apart and I want to have them both by the age of 30. So I've got to begin with the end in mind. Second child, latest 29, 4 years apart. That means I've got to have my first one by the age of 25. All of it came to plan, obviously. And I was there and I was like, gosh, yeah, that's, and just contact. And I was like, you know what? Menopause. She said something about perimenopause. What is that? That's like, and then I remember thinking it's like the peri peri chicken at Nando's, which is like a food chain in England, like a chain around. I was like, I don't really know much and I'd been like kind of dipping in and dipping out of it, and I'd done a womb healing because I'd found out that women who had sexual trauma had experienced a really bad menopause, and I was like, well, I've got to ace this, just like everything else I have to ace in life, overachiever syndrome right here. And so I'm there and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I really want to find out more. There has to, and all the books were boring, or they were clinical, or they were written by men, or everything was around about big pharma. I'm like, I don't want to, I want to be entertained. I want to laugh. I want to have real life women's stories. And and I want to learn about, I was also told that if women eat tofu, they don't get the menopause. I was like, is that true? I really don't like tofu. Like, tofu's just no. And so all of this is going on,
Because it has a lot of estrogen. Tofu contains a lot of natural estrogen.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing. Once I got my geek on, and like, so I arrive in Chile, in the south of Chile, after 3 months at sea, and my VA at the time had booked me onto this podcast with Clarissa. Well, Clarissa and I, all we did was giggle, and she was telling me about I was like, really? That happens in the menopause? Really? Are you for real? And then stuff that I'd been told, she said, no, it's not true. I was like, really? And then,
by the way,
I get into
let's tell everybody who Clarissa is, so you guys who are watching can get
Clarissa is just like the woman to know when it comes to all things menopause. She has got the most downloaded, listened to podcast on the planet when it comes to menopause, called Thriving Through Menopause, and through is THRU. So just look up Clarissa Christiansen and Thriving Through Menopause, and you'll find that she's amazing. She is no nonsense. She is, call it as it is, absolutely love her, but she has got the softest soul and the biggest heart. And what she is doing for women, I have Clarissa in my pocket. I've listened to Clarissa all the way through Patagonia, all the way through Brazil, the Amazonas, all the way through Colombia. And this is the thing about this book. It started in the middle of the Atlantic, and when I looked at my journey through South America over the last 3 years, I was just like, because I've not stopped traveling. I'm like just in my own little world, as you say. Well, it's not a little world, is it anymore? But this book, like the different stages of it have happened in every single country almost along the Atlantic side of South America. And I wrote it down. It was like, well, it was developed. The idea came together in south of Chile, in Patagonia. And then I mentioned it to Clarissa when we were on LinkedIn. I went, we're doing a book together. This is how the book is going to be. And she was like, yeah, okay. This is the title. It was called Putting Menopause on the Map. And then I started journaling about the impact I wanted to have in Argentina. I was like, well, these are the people that are not represented. These are the things that I can't find information on. This is what the book needs to include. These are the type of people it needs to include. These are the ethnicities, because people, when they think about culture, I remember doing a summit once that was about cultural diversity. There was 8 of us, 2 of which were a Black couple, which were together. And the rest of us were white, and I was the only British. The rest were American. Well, that's not cultural diversity. Where are the South Asians? Where are the Asians, all types of Asians? Where are the Arabs, the Africans, the Latinos? Where are the other than European? Like, that's not culturally diverse. we need, and then it was like, okay, so I need to be covering all of these. And those people that know me will know that cultural diversity is a very big thing for me. For the last 23 years, I've been working in community cohesion and cultural diversity. I was on the board of Chambers of Commerce Black Minority and Ethnic Forum, which is what we used to call it 20 odd years ago. Now it's got all these extra letters and everything. And then we started really journaling about who is it going to be. And then and then when I was, Colombia, we all came together, started writing, and in Panama, I was just doing all the editing. And now I'm here in Costa Rica, and it's in putting out all the final touches to it. And so this book, wow, it's just got loads of Latino energy in it, even if there's no Latinos in it.
The book itself, the idea of the book itself, which was, I mean, I think it was born because there isn't anything out there. Like I said in my chapter,
No,
there's no woman's wisdom university.
there isn't.
There's no space for us women or young girls. Like, I would love to just talk to 10-year-olds to 16, 17, 18, and introduce them to what's going to be happening in their lives, because nobody did that for us. There wasn't a place where, and I say this in my chapter, and so many of us who are writing about this write about similar stories, that there wasn't anyone that just like took us by the hand and sat us down and showed us diagrams and and said, this is what you've got to look forward to in a positive way, not even in a negative way, not all doom and gloom and this is what's going to happen to you, it's going to be awful, and you're going to be this, and then you're going to hurt, and
then you're going to die.
And then you're going to die.
What?
And then you're going to have babies, and then you're going to die.
Yeah. Go to school, go to university, get married, have kids, then die.
Right.
Like what?
So this whole multi-level experience of living as a woman, as a beautiful woman, as a woman who actually knows and understands her body, as a woman who honors her body and her passion and her pleasure, and everything about this beautiful, amazing masterpiece that we get to live in, that for me is like my goal. And that's why I do what I do with Image Therapists International, is can we be with life exactly the way it is and exactly the way it isn't, and this body. And so when you said, let's write this book, and there's 11 of us, there's so many different people. English. Tell us a little bit about the authors that are also in the book. Tell you, because you can do this a lot better than I could.
Okay, so we have Clarissa, who is Swedish, but also not. She's from England, and there's
she lives in Sweden. She lives in
Sweden. Clarissa Stransson is, I believe, she's. I've forgotten the countries Clarissa's been in and lived in. I mean, there's quite a few, like myself and you. And so Clarissa comes at it from a very Northern European mindset and energy, but from a very holistic Eastern energetic point of view as well. And then there's me, Scottish, English, but also very Arabic in a lot of ways. I was very much part of the Arab world for about 20 years. And I think in Arabic, when I think of foods from home, I think of Arabic food. And so there's a lot of that in me, because, I mean, I've been part of the Arab world since I was 18. And then we have, I'm going through the chapters in my head if you didn't read. And then we have Fiona. So Clarissa is, I'm not quite sure how old Clarissa is. She's in the 50s, I know. I think towards the higher end. Then I'm just 44.
Kate.
And
Kate.
Yeah, we've got Kate. She's fire. She's a proper Londoner. She's like, she's from down there. That's probably a bit too East End for Kate, actually. And she's talking about the menopause in the corporate world. And she's just got 2 children in her 40s. And it's her husband Neil who's joined us, and I really wanted a husband and wife team in the book. That was very important for me, because I wanted a man's perspective of what it was like living with a menopausal woman. So to get a menopause coach and her husband in the book
Perfect.
was just game on.
Yeah, it's so great.
And then we've got Fiona, who she's from England, and she is Pilates driven, and looking at nutrition. We've got Sue, who's also from England, but so not from England. She's from a completely different realm, and very magical and energetically aligned. She's in her 50s. She does a lot about leadership, but self-leadership and self-love. And then we have Maggie, who's from India, and she's talking about Ayurvedic, and yoga. And what's really interesting, very magic. Oh, hello. I just got a lot of feedback then. I thought you started talking, but it was me. And then we've got, what was really interesting about her chapter is that when she mentioned some of the foods and how they reacted to her body, I started to pay attention to how certain foods were reacting to my body, which is something I've always done. And I've had to cut out onions and garlic.
Yeah, I've had to cut garlic. I've had to cut out garlic.
I love onions and garlic.
And I love garlic. I just can't. I definitely, sorry, I'm just trying to get my camera here situated.
That's all right.
I definitely cannot do garlic at night, like in the afternoon. If I do it, I become this oven. Like my body just, and still it's ridiculous. And you know, all of us who have been writing about this, and all of us who've been having conversations about this, you know, the more we speak, the more we tell the story, the more we tell a story, another woman can look at it and look at the tapestry of her own life and say,
yeah,
oh wow, I should look at that, because I eat a lot of garlic and I'm not.
Well, Maggie is our youngest contributor.
And you think about it, you know, you think that there aren't really communities, living alive communities of women of different ages and stages of living that are actually coming together and having these conversations, like the red tent, you know. And if you think about
which is mentioned quite a few times. I've been emailing Anita, who is the author of that book.
Yeah, which is like, that's where we came from as a Persian Jewish woman. I come from that. And I talk about it in the book, where I mean, I have 5 aunts on my father's side and 3 on my mother's side, and they're all these amazing matriarchs, these shamanic doctors and healers and women who could see the evil eye and would crack eggs and do all kinds of cool magical wonder work. And none of them talked about menopause. We talked about the evil eye. Oh, you can't go there, you can't do that, and don't look too pretty, you're going to awaken somebody's wrath or jealousy or envy.
Yeah, but a lot of what I heard in Egypt was about very, very similar.
You know, so this what I call it in my chapter, and what other,
you do,
we've all
this itness,
this thing, is just not talked about enough. And I think moving forward, this book is going to be a beautiful portal. It's going to be a beautiful portal for everybody.
Well, we also have Anne, who's our crone. She's 80 and she's from Australia, and she's brought a lot of wisdom from Nubia, the Nubian, like Nuweiba down in the south of Egypt, and also from the indigenous communities in Australia. And so that was very, very beautiful. And then we've got Ulis again, who is from Sweden, and she's actually talking about the chakras and the yogic perspectives, and you know, and you know, when I read it, every time I read the chapters, I mean, I've read it so many times now, I could probably, it's like Dirty Dancing. You put that film on and I could tell you every line in the movie. I'm there narrating that whole movie, and I just, Every time I read this book, it's like a living, breathing work of art, that it doesn't matter like whether I'm in an empowered, I'm going to change the world, I've got my Bridget's on and I'm there, and or if I'm in that, oh my God, I just like, this gotta happen, and then I'm like, I read the book again, and of all the books that I've written and all the books that I've published, and I really can't remember how many that is now, and I just think this is one of my, this has to be my favorite one so far.
Oh, wow.
It's such a delicious, like you say, it's that deliciousness, that richness, that the fact that we have created this community, like hardly any of you knew each other. Sue introduced me to Fiona, who both Clarissa and Sue knew of Kate. Obviously Kate is married to Neil, so I would hope that they actually did know each other. I knew you, and I knew Lani because Lani is the Filipino American powerlifter. So she talks about what it's like with her story of going, oh well, I don't really know if I want children. I'm just gonna keep partying. I'm just gonna keep working, and the courtesy asks that she gets because she didn't have children. And then it was like, oh, I think I've just done the menopause. Oh, well, I won't have children then. And it's
Very different
looking at
than many of us.
yeah, oh yeah, I want children. And I think this is the thing, like when I was out in Egypt, like to picking up on what you were saying about the Persian Jewish ladies and aunties and family members, it's not something that's talked about. My mum didn't know anything about it because they whipped her bits out after she had my sister, which then when I'm reading Maggie's story about India being the land of hysterectomies, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's there's so many dots connected. And the fact that we're not pushing an agenda, I think is the most important thing. There is no agenda behind this book other than you are beautiful the way you are. You own your sovereignty. You get to choose who you are within this period. You get to choose how you want to navigate this journey of immense transformation. And yes, there are going to be moments when it's all hot and messy. But when you lean into that, instead of numbing it or trying to remove it or trying to fix yourself, because you're not broken, you're transforming. None of us are broken, so we don't need fixing. We don't need these drugs that are trying to numb us unless we choose it. And every other book that I read on this subject of menopause was pushing a big pharma agenda, or it was pushing HRT, or it was pushing some kind of drug, or telling us we were broken. And it wasn't entertaining energy, or it wasn't entertaining being out in nature. And it was like, this is not about ego. This is not about any of us. This is about all of us, past, present, and future.
Yeah. One of the conversations that I'm having a lot is that women don't have enough diverse information to even make a choice about.
No, they don't.
Am I going to do hormones? How should I do bioidentical? Should I do this? Should I do that? And the thing is that once you're in it, like I made the big mistake. I just stopped. I was like, okay, I don't need hormones. Biggest mistake of my life at the beginning of COVID. Biggest mistake of my life. And so if you're not knowledgeable enough and you don't know what's out there, that you don't know how to make the right choice.
No.
So most of us, because we've never heard of it and we don't know, suddenly we're like in it. Oh my God, I have it. It's here. Then for me, it was a little late. So as we move forward, I think that this book is a really beautiful opening for young women to get into this conversation so that they don't have to go through what many of us have gone through, and many other women will go through because of lack of conversations and connection and transparency and just the fact that, hey, this pink elephant is in the room. Let us not use it as a clothing rack. Let's talk about it and walk it out the door down the main street so everybody can see it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I really wanted to address, but we couldn't, the people that we we located that had menopause in their 20s because of chemotherapy.
Oh, he went.
They weren't in a space, they weren't ready to write that book.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that what
Another
we
one.
actually see.
It'll be another
Pardon?
one, honey. It'll be another book.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know, we wanted to know what it was going to be like for somebody who was transgender that's progressing through that. I wanted to have two women that were in a relationship, you know, what's it like for you both to be going through that at the same time? And I'm really, really hoping that we can actually inspire other people to either write their own stories, or if they've got their stories and they want to come to me so we can write the next book in this series. I mean, there are 3 other books in this series. One of them is about ovarian health, and another one is about boob health and how women are seen with and without their ovaries and with and without their boobs. And then we're looking at the men's andropause. And so there's a transformational series of books here. And one of the things that the more I've spoken about it, the more women have looked at me and go, Dawn, but you're only 44. I mean, recently when I was in the jungle in the south of Costa Rica, I was talking to a young girl and she was like just hitting her 30s, and she was like, oh my God, she goes, like, I haven't even found a guy I want to have kids with, and I really want to have kids. And now you're telling me all this information. I want to get, but that's the thing. We are not, it's almost as if we've been set up to fail on so many levels. Like, you know, oh, we're going to make life so expensive and so difficult for you that you need to work really hard to build your career. And then at the point where your body starts saying, well, actually, we're probably going to start reducing some of your fertility options. And then people are spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands on fertility treatments. And then these women, like my friend, who had her children after she built her career, she went in and got pregnant, and then she's smack bang dealing with all of the toddler and the breastfeeding right when her menopause starts. And it's like, we've got to start being kinder to ourselves by exploring our body in every which way and exploring what's possible for us. And if HRT works for you, go do that. Just go do whatever works, whether it's cupping, whether it's acupuncture, whatever you need to do for yourself. Ladies, go do that.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, sweetheart, this is a wonderful conversation. What else do you give people a last thing, because we're going to put the link down, but what's the best way for them to get the book, because it's on pre-order now, right?
It's being propagated. It's all the metadata and all the geeky stuff is all there. It's all
the geeky stuff. Tell people what the geeky stuff is, and we're also going to make sure that the link is below, so that those of you who are watching now, by the way, those of you who are watching now, put something in the comments. If you don't put something in the comments, we can't answer your question. That's the first thing.
Absolutely.
The second thing is, if you want to connect with Dawn, she is on LinkedIn. You can reach her and connect with her on LinkedIn. We're happy to give you, my team's happy to put the LinkedIn.
Just write Dawn Bates into Google, you'll find me.
Dawn Bates, DAWN, last name BATES, Dawn Bates. She's incredible. Yeah. And you've seen me talk about her, and we've been writing articles on other platforms together at Preeminence. That's how we met. So Jenny, thank you for putting us together. That's another thank you that has to go out. Yeah. And you're on LinkedIn, and then any action they can take right away in order to get the book?
Yeah, if they go and sign up at dawnbates.com/dive-in, then what they'll do is that will then take them to my emails, and I'll be able to send them exclusive content, and they'll be able to get an exclusive invitation to our official launch party in June, which is all very exciting. But dawnbates.com/menopause, there's everything that is going on there, where everything is real time with us. We don't hide the publishing process, because I know that I know a lot of people will want to publish themselves. So one of the things I do is I keep everything real time. I keep everything transparent. So you'll be seeing more and more stuff go up on the dawnbates.com menopause page as and when it's available. But yeah, every link, over 150,000 publishing platforms on and offline stores. You can order it through your libraries, for your local bookstore. everything.
Oh, and we were just mentioned in Brains magazine, wasn't the book?
We were, yes, we did. We got a mention in there. I'm an executive contributor for those. So that's pretty cool. And MSP News Global also mentioned on there. And there's another one going out very soon. The press release is going out on the 2nd. So that means we'll be all over the premier news channels. And yeah,
guys,
you're going to do a job, do it properly.
Get it, not just for yourselves, get it for at least 2 or 3 women in your life that you love.
If you run a women's network, buy them the book as a gift.
Buy them as a gift. Buy them as gifts for your family members, younger women, older women. It's like
absolutely.
I'm not saying that because I'm in it. I'm just saying it's a great book. So
I have a list of books that I tell women to buy. Pussy, a Reclamation. Like, get that book. It's amazing. Regina Thomas-Hausen. The Code Red and Love Your Lady Landscape by Lisa Lister. Amazing book.
Love Your Lady Landscape by Lisa Lister. That's phenomenal.
I love that book so much. But Code Red is about understanding your cycle by Lisa Lister. These books are some of the juiciest books, and now we've got the menopause and the potent power of menopause.
That's what the title is. Potent power. Yeah. So, honey, we're going to talk again on the 11th. We're going to do another.
We are.
Yes. I'm very excited.
Don't know where I'll be. I think I'll still be in Costa Rica.
Yes, you will. I'm sure you will. Stay there, enjoy it, enjoy the beautiful landscape, the people, the weather, just rest. And
I've got to get back to the beach, so I'm done with the city already.
Yeah. You got a beach.
I had to come into the city to get supplies, and now I've got to go back to the beach. Okay. I've been here a week already. Yeah. Okay. I'm like,
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Those of you who are with us live, make sure you put #live so we know that you are live. And those of you who are watching the replay, #replay, please send us your questions. You can ask them. Feel free to ask your questions.
Always ask questions.
From an open heart in an open space, because your question, even though you may just be a little discomfortable about it, it's going to be something that somebody else was too shy to ask.
Absolutely.
So be a front runner, be an outlier, be someone who's I'm
a game changer.
Also say I'm just asking for a friend. That's also cool. But be curious and ask. I love you guys.
You don't ask, you don't get, as my mother used to say.
Right. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to watch. We're going to keep posting this, sharing this. And Dawn, thank you for your time, Angel. Go have a wonderful
so much.
evening. Go light up the world with your beautiful red hair. And
I know. Well, actually, it was not supposed to be this red. But
it's okay. It got really red. It's all good.
It got really red.
That's how it is right now. Thank you.
Embrace the change. All right, then. Thank you.
I love you. Ciao. Ciao. Thanks for being here. See you guys next week.
Bye.